NFL fans, welcome back to a brand new episode of the J All Day NFL Show. Former Bleacher Report writer turned YouTuber, thank you for tuning in to today's full first round mock draft. We're going to go over all 32 teams and what I think the GMs for each of these teams is going to do on draft day in the first round. Let's get into it. Before we get started, guys, make sure you do me a huge favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're less than 60 subscribers away from 15K. Thank you guys so much. Let's kick things off with this draft. Titans are on the board. It's pretty chalk right now, but I think they go Cam Ward. They didn't really address the quarterback position at all whatsoever in the offseason. And their head coach, Brian Callahan, and Will Levis didn't really seem to get along too much last season. I think that experiment is over. Cam Ward goes to the Titans at 1. Now, the Browns have a choice on their hands. Do we go quarterback? I doubt it. They just signed Joe Flacco. And when you have Joe Flacco and you have Kenny Pickett, bringing in another quarterback doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Now, do they go Travis Hunter or do they go Abdul Carter? I'm leaning towards Travis Hunter, especially with Abdul Carter having that stress fracture in his foot. I think that might push Travis Hunter over the top for them. And Travis Hunter is a player we haven't really seen this skill set in the NFL before, where you could be a top 5 guy in the draft at corner or wide receiver. I think the Browns do Travis Hunter at number 2. Now, Giants fans, you're on the board at number 3 overall. Do they go quarterback? Is Shedeur Sanders in play here? They brought in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, so I'm leaning towards no early in the draft for them getting a quarterback. In round 2, 3, or 4, something like that, that could be in play for the Giants 100%. But for me, with Abdul Carter on the board, pairing him up with Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence, that makes that front 7 very, very formidable in my opinion. Number 3 overall is Abdul Carter. Now, Patriots fans, you're on the board at number 4. They could go Will Campbell, but I see him more as a guard at the NFL level. I think this is a trade out spot for the Patriots. The board fell not in a great way. For me, Ted McMillan does make a lot of sense. Back-to-back over 84 grades. And he's been very consistent. 15 yards per reception in each of the last 2 years. 18 touchdowns. Give Drake May a big-bodied wide receiver. Would I necessarily do this? Probably not. I would probably trade back. Maybe with the Bears, the Saints, somebody like that, or even the Cowboys. We'll have to see what teams are willing to move up and what they're willing to give up, obviously. But for now, if they stick here, Ted McMillan could be the guy at number 4. I think that's the way they go. Now, the Jaguars are on the board at number 5. Their interior defensive line is not very good at all whatsoever. Mason Graham seems to be the chalk. It makes a lot of sense as well. There's 4 blue chip guys maybe in this draft class, maybe 5. I think he's one of them. That run defense grade going against some of the best offensive linemen in college football. Like, look at these grades against Ohio State and Washington, USC. I mean, it's really, really impressive what this guy put on film. Oregon, he's just really, really, really talented. Jaguars don't pass him up. He goes number 5. Raiders fans, you're on the board. I think Gentry's going to be the pick. They need a running back. Pete Carroll likes to run the ball. They need a running back desperately. This could be a trade down spot as well. But the way the board played out, Armand Membu, if they really want to add more weapons to the offensive line, that could be interesting for sure. But I don't think that happens. I'm going Ashton Genty to the Raiders at 6. He's like a generational talent. These numbers are crazy. 7 yards per attempt. He's really, really just special. They don't make guys like this at all. And he could be a bell cow back, for, 5 to 10 years if he stays healthy. Now, Jets fans, you're on the board. This is an interesting choice here. They could go Will Campbell, stick him out at right tackle, possibly, but he's got the really short arms, so I think he slides a little bit. I think going Armand Membu would be perfect because Olufashinu at left tackle, him at right tackle, that could be a very interesting dynamic at the offensive line, man. You have bookends for a decade. I could see them going Tyler Warren too and surprising some people. bring in another weapon for Justin Fields, who doesn't have the best arm strength in the world. So concentrating over the middle of the field with a guy like Tyler Warren could be very interesting. But I think Armand Membu is just too good to pass up at number 7. And now this offensive line is something, these tackle spots, you don't have to worry about that for years to come. Now, the Panthers fans, you're on the board. I think linebacker makes a lot of sense. This dude, Jalen Walker, I'm not as high on him as other people are. 12% missed tackle rate, very poor against the run, not great in coverage either. He can go get the quarterback, but at number 8 overall, he's got some bust potential, right? So I think you got to go with a safer pick, in my opinion, and that's Jahad Campbell, off-ball linebacker, one of the best players in this draft class. I think he's got a really high floor, and that's the picks you got to make. You can't be swinging for the fences all the time in the top 10. You got to go for the sure thing, and I think Jahad Campbell on the defensive side of the football is as sure of a thing to be a good player as any of these guys. So I like Jahad Campbell there to the Panthers at 8. Number 9 overall. This could be a pick where the Saints go anywhere. They could go quarterback here, which I think they might do. So I'm doing it. I think they need a quarterback desperately, and this would make some sense. You don't have to play Shedeur Sanders right away. He can learn behind Derek Carr for a season, and then after this year, Derek Carr can get the boot. Shedeur Sanders, I like his accuracy. I like his moxie. I like his toughness. I think he's a good fit for New Orleans and that fan base. I think the fan base there is going to love Shedeur Sanders. Now, Bears fans, you're on the board at number 10 overall. Malachi Starks could make some sense. Will Johnson could make some sense. Tyler Warren could actually make a lot of sense for them at number 10. The Bears could really go anywhere. I see Johnny Barron more as a safety, in my opinion, or a nickel guy, than maybe an outside corner, even though he was very, very, very good at Texas this past season. Donovan Ezeraku's on the board. Kenneth Grant could be really interesting as well. But I think I'm going to go Malachi Starks because he's such a general out there. 6'1", 205, one of the highest IQs in this draft class, and you just level up. That's what you want to do with these draft players, is level up. He levels up. You know, he didn't have the best combine situation, so maybe they pass him up and go Mike Green. They could really use a guy like Mike Green, man. 6'4", 248, help that pass rush out. You know what? I'm going to buck my own trend, and they're going to go with production. Mike Green, excellent player. I like him to the Bears at 10. Now, 49ers fans were on the board. Will Campbell, he's still here. They need offensive line help at guard and tackle. He could play either position. Put him out there, see where you like him the best, Shanahan, and then see where the chips fall. Now, Cowboys fans, you're on the board at number 12. They need weapons so bad. And to me, I think Luther Burden's getting a lot of hate that is undeserved. And I think he could play outside. I think he's a really good player. Just look what he did in 2023. He was consensus number 1 wide receiver. And the quarterback play at Missouri was not very good at all whatsoever. So I'm going Luther Burden to the Cowboys at 12. Now, Tua fans, Dolphins fans, Tua is one bad hit away from drinking his juice out of a straw for the rest of his life. The concussions are a serious concern. They need offensive line help. And I think this is a really interesting spot. If the medicals check out, you take the best offensive lineman on the board. That's Josh Simmons. He's a great player. He could play guard or tackle, but to me, he was the stickiest offensive lineman on tape. I love Josh Simmons. I think he's a great player. Versatile guy, too. Now, Shane Steichen and the Colts, you're on the board. Shane Steichen was really successful as an offensive coordinator when he had a really good tight end. They need a really good tight end. Tyler Warren makes the most sense. Him and Loveland are very similar. I just think Tyler Warren fits them and what they want to do. Okay, now, Falcons fans, you're on the board. You really struggled last year getting to the quarterback, right? You could go edge. You could go off-ball linebacker. A guy like Walter Nolan could definitely make some sense for them, add some D-line help. But the board didn't fall particularly great for the Falcons, right? Ezeraku's on the board. I'm not sure that's where they go. I think Ezeraku is more of a 3-4 guy. I don't think he fits that scheme. Kenneth Grant could be really interesting for them. Or they go wide receiver. Emeka Egbuka is on the board. I really, really like him. Matthew Golden, I also really like. Or do they reach on a guy like Michael Williams? I think he is probably the better of the players left on the board. James Pierce is good, but I don't want to deal with that off the field stuff. Michael Williams is a good kid. He played hurt all year and was still very productive. I'm going Michael Williams to the Falcons at 15. Now, Cardinals fans, you're on the board. For me, it's between Kenneth Grant and the number 1 corner, Will Johnson. Kenneth Grant is a really good player, but I think Will Johnson, he is an elite cornerback, man. He's been elite every year. Was hurt this year. So do they not want to bring in an injured guy? That could make them go with Kenneth Grant. They upgraded the outside linebacker spot with Josh Sweat. So let's fix the interior defensive line. Let's go Kenneth Grant to the Cardinals at 16. Will Johnson kind of falling a little bit. Now, Bengals fans, you're on the board here at 17. A lot of different spots you could go here, but Will Johnson is just too good to pass up. Do it. Bring him in. He's a top 10 guy if he doesn't get hurt. Will Johnson slides to the Bengals at 17. Now, Seahawks fans, you're on the board. We need receivers so bad. Like, everyone's gone. Emeka Egbuka, he's big enough to play outside, I think. 6'1", 205. Egbuka goes to the Seahawks at 18 overall. Now, the Buccaneers are on the board. This is a spot where Jalen Walker goes. He could play off-ball linebacker. He could play stand-up outside linebacker. Learn from Levante David. Makes a ton of sense. Now, Broncos fans, this is where they get their running back. Omarion Hampton is on the board. I think this is a great fit. I don't think he's that many notches below Ashton Genty. Omarion Hampton goes to the Broncos at 20. Pittsburgh Steelers fans, you're on the clock at 21. If we take a look at how the board fell to us, they need safety and cornerback help, and we got a hybrid of all those positions in Jahdi Barron. He could play safety, he could play corner, he could play the nickel. I think this is a great spot to add a guy like Jahdi Barron, who fell a little bit in this draft. Very versatile guy at 21 overall. Chargers fans, you're up. Coach Harbaugh is going to bring in his Michigan guy, Colston Loveland. I love this pick. We need to give Justin Herbert someone to throw to other than Ladd McConkey. We need to get more layers in this offense so they're not keying in on one guy in the passing game. I like that pick. Now, Packers fans, you're up at 23, and I was thinking about boycotting this pick because of the whole Packers trying to ban the tush-push BS, but I'm going to be the bigger guy and go wide receiver here. Matthew Golden to the Packers. I think he could be a number 1. He's that good. He's the best separator in this draft class. His ability to get open and shimmy and get to the middle of the field or outside or the back shoulder. I love Matthew Golden. This is a great pick for Packers fans, even though I'm not really happy with you guys right now. All right, Vikings fans, you're up at 24 overall. Okay, so Harrison is 3,000 years old. They need an upgrade at the safety spot, get younger at that position. Malachi Starks, his fall stops at 24. Makes total sense. Texans fans, you are on the board. They traded away their best tackle by far in Laramie Tunsil. They need offensive line help. The best offensive lineman left on the board is Gray Zabel. But I do like Kelvin Banks. They need a tackle. Kelvin Banks was great at his time in Texas. True left tackle. Zabel's a more versatile guy if you want some guard, tackle, center ability, right? But they need a true left tackle now that Tunsil is gone. So Kelvin Banks, if he's on the board, is going to be the pick 100%. Rams fans, you're on the board at 26. And when you take a look at this roster, the front 7 for the defense is really good. But the secondary could for sure use some upgrades. And Trey Amos is still on the board. I think he might be the best spot for us here at 26 overall. I really like Trey Amos. Good run defender, man coverage guy, pretty big frame, 6'1", 190. He goes to the Rams at 26. Now the Ravens are on the board. Guard, edge. This is a Donovan Ezeraku spot, in my opinion. I think this could be a great look for the Ravens, right? Walter Nolan is on the board as well. He's a really talented guy. They could go guard, a guy like Gray Zabel, upgrade that offensive line. Shamar Stewart, he's on the board. Ravens really seem to like Shamar Stewart. 6'6", 290, good size. Fits this scheme a little better than a guy like Donovan Ezeraku. I'm going Shamar Stewart to the Ravens at 27. Now, Lions fans, you're on the board. There's some holes in the interior offensive line. So a guy like Gray Zabel can make some sense. But they also need another guy across Aiden Hutchinson to get after the pass rusher. Nick Scorton, really talented guy. I love Nick Scorton. He's a great player. He could play in any scheme. 6'4", 285. He's got the size. And I think Lions can get a guard later in the draft. But a guy like Nick Scorton's not going to be available. Bring in a guy to rush the passer with Aiden Hutchinson, who will be back healthy this year. I love that pick for the Detroit Lions. Now, Commanders fans, you're on the board. Donovan Ezeraku could be a great fit for the Commanders as well. Walter Nolan, another guy I really like for the Commanders. They need some cornerback help as well. Derek Harmon, he's on the board. Could he go to Washington? That could make some sense. They definitely, in my opinion, need some edge help. And the secondary was so bad. So do they go a guy like Ben Morrison, who's, I've been singing his praises all offseason. He makes a lot of sense. But James Pierce Jr. is on the board. And that can make some definite sense for them, taking a risk on a guy who could really pin his ears back and go after the passer. 21 sacks over his last 2 seasons. But Walter Nolan still being on the board, I really, really like some Walter Nolan. He's a very, very talented guy. And I think that's the way I'm going to go. Walter Nolan can play up and down the defensive line. Put him anywhere, he's going to be successful. Bills fans, you're on the board at 30 overall. Donovan Ezeraku is still falling a little bit. James Pierce Jr., the Bills probably going to go defensive side of the ball. An interior defensive lineman. I like Derek Harmon to the Bills at 30. They need some interior defensive line help, in my opinion. Let's kind of fill out that room. Alexander goes to the Bills at 30. Now, 31 overall. They're going to go offensive line, in my opinion, for the Chiefs. Whether it's offensive tackle or it's guard. Zabel's on the board. Connerly's on the board. But I think they need tackle help more than anything. And Connerly, a lot of people really like him. He's a very good player. So Connerly Jr. is going to go to the Chiefs at 31 overall. Now, Eagles fans, you're on the board. We need that outside linebacker type. And guess what? Donovan Ezeraku is still on the board. He's the best of the bunch, in my opinion. I love this pick. The Eagles get a steal at 32. All right, NFL fans, this is how my first round mock draft landed for us. The Eagles get Ezeraku at 32. Kelvin Banks goes to the Texans at 25. Broncos get Amarion Hampton. Shedeur Sanders goes to the Saints. Will Campbell goes to the 49ers. Giants get Abdul Carter. Travis Hunter goes to the Browns. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you like these picks? Do you not love these picks? I would love to know in the comments below, where would you draft for your favorite team? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.